What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Jordy, and welcome back to another episode of F1 25 Driver Career Mode for the Miami Grand Prix and Sprint. If you missed last episode, it was the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and we managed to get a P7. Could have been a P5, should have been a P6, but yeah, my race awareness for that race was just absolutely not there. I was completely locked in on one position and didn't notice another driver coming up behind me. So as a result, not only did we not get a P5 or a P6, we also dropped into P4 in the standings, but we expected that. You know, we've had a really good start, a much better start than expected, mainly because of other drivers, better cars dropping the ball, but they are starting to catch up now. George Russell is just 8 points behind us. Yuki Tsunoda is fresh off of a P2. He would be in front of us had he not had that P11 in Bahrain, and Piastri absolutely would have, but he got a second DNF of the season, so extremely unlucky, as Lando Norris is the one who leads the standings after a dominating win in Jeddah. Verstappen dropped the ball a little bit, still gets a P3, but it is all to play for in the future for that one. Antonelli waiting for a driver upgrade. That Mercedes guy, he's only 7 points is crazy for him. In terms of the constructors, we are in P4, just 1 point ahead of Mercedes. I think it's only a matter of time now until we drop to P5. There, but it seems as though we're just facing George Russell there. So as soon as Antonelli gets his rating bump, I think Mercedes are going to start running away with P4 and maybe, just maybe, catching up with the top three. We'll see. But our battle is for P5 this season, and we're probably going to drop down to like a P8. I think P8 will be our best bet. In terms of, like, at the end of the season, we're going to be competing with Sainz, Gasly, etc. But I'd say we're going to be competing. Again, we've had such a great start to the season. We're just well ahead of those guys. So it's about the top 8, and we're probably going to be at the bottom of it. We'll see, though. I'll give it my best shot. In terms of our vehicle, I'm going to be putting in a new gearbox for this weekend. I want to put in a new one every time we reach 50%. We've got an unlimited number of gearboxes, or at least up to 24, one for each race. So really, we could put in a new gearbox each race, but I'm not going to do that. I feel like that's a bit sweaty. So we'll put in a new gearbox when we need it. In terms of development, we've got a rear floor under tray coming soon, and the distribution for that one. We've also got 2 new durability upgrades for the ICE and the turbo, which I think we put in a new one. Oh, we'll be putting in a new one pretty soon, actually. But I'm going to... do we put in a new one now? We could put in a new one now. It is at 55%, and it is a long weekend. It's a sprint weekend. So, yeah, we're going to put in a new turbocharger. We do only have 4 in a season, so we do need to keep an eye on that. Energy store is nearly at 50%, which is really not a good sign. I would want that to be 50% as we're halfway through the season, but we're only 5 races in, so we are absolutely going to be taking a grid penalty at some point for a 3rd energy store, that is for sure. Control electronics are looking fine. Everything else is looking fine. The MGUK, I feel like we could push that for one more weekend, but that absolutely will need to be replaced for Imola. We've got a secret meeting to go to. I don't know who this is going to be, but we're about to find out. Let's go. It is Williams! Oh, wow. Oh, I'm really tempted to accept it, to be honest. But I know as soon as I go to Williams, I'm not going to want to leave them, you know? So I'm going to decline it. We're definitely going to end up at Williams in this career mode. I can guarantee that. We are part of the Williams Driver Academy after all as well, so they'll give us an extra boost. I absolutely want to end up at Williams at some point. It's just a matter of, I think it will be our second driver move and not our first one. So I am going to decline that for now. But yeah, don't be surprised if we end up at Williams later on in the career mode. But this is going to boost our recognition.
Been chatting with some of the team higher-ups, and they're delighted with the loyalty you're showing to the team and the project. Now's a good time to ask for a bonus, or a boat, or whatever it is you people get up to out of the car.
Right, so that's going to give us a boost in recognition. We're up to 58% now, getting really close to the third R&D secret upgrade, which is something we're really going to want for the car. But other than that, we do have a new helmet going into this Grand Prix. I do love Miami, so I've decided to make a helmet specially for it. I decided to get rid of the purple. I don't think that's going to come back. I want to make the helmet look a bit more like match the car and the outfit a little bit more. Make it look more like we're a Red Bull driver or a V-Carb driver instead of our own thing. So that's what the blue's for. We're going to change the pink to white at some point, probably right after this Grand Prix, but it is going to be pink for this one. We're going to be sticking with the Speed Blade helmet for the entirety of this season. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. I do like the helmet. Let me know what you guys think. Without further ado, though, it is time for us to get into getting this durability upgrade first off, which we have just gotten.
All the new parts have been fabricated, and we're going to have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
Okay, that's good. Let's have a look at R&D then. We've got a few extra points that we could probably spend, I hope. Otherwise, we'll have to look into it after practice. We do have the ignition system for the powertrain. I definitely want to add on to that because, yeah, we were not having... I mean, it clearly didn't affect Jeddah too much because Alpine are right at the bottom. I did say that Renault engine is weak, but Pierre Gasly managed to get a P4 out of that race. So I want to know how he did it. But we've got this one, which will be coming after the Monaco Grand Prix. It'd be missing out on Imola. If we do the 55% failure chance one, if we rush it, we could get it in before Imola, which would be great. Monaco doesn't matter. I don't care about any upgrades going into Monaco, so I really don't know what I want to go with here. I definitely want it into... yeah, Imola's the home race, isn't it? Italy. Racing balls are, you know, set in Italy, so yeah, they're in Faenza, aren't they? So we definitely want to get that upgrade for before the home race. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the Miami Grand Prix for a sprint weekend. It's going to be a long one. Let's do it. Well, that is looking very, very interesting for practice one in the race. I'm really glad practice one isn't useless. I took one look at that practice and I was like, oh, looks like I'm skipping it because it's pointless. But we've got the race in the same conditions, so that's going to be really, really interesting. Of course, we've got the sprint as well, fully in the sun, so that's good, and qualifying in the sun as well. I kind of would have preferred that in the wet, maybe, to help keep up with the rest of the grid. But yeah, the race is going to be really, really interesting. Maybe we'll even get our first safety car and red flag during it. I don't know. In terms of progress history, Aston Martin have brought in an upgrade into this weekend that has put them quicker than us once more. Alpine have also brought in an upgrade. I think Williams brought in a minor one as well. So we're definitely going to see a little bit more competition, hopefully from the Aston Martins. I have no idea what's happened to them this season. It's actually the same as real life, to be honest. I think they've scored as many points as real life as well. A little bit more. They're doing a little bit better in game than real life, I think. Maybe not. I know Alonso is, but Alonso's only just scored points, so, you know, he'll be back to it soon. But yeah, we'll see if we meet an Aston Martin on the road. I don't think we've really competed with the Astons too much outside of maybe the first race, so it'd be nice to see maybe Alonso out on track.
Welcome back to Miami and welcome to qualifying. Only raw speed will separate these drivers today, but the question is, who's got what it takes to get pole?
Well, here we are at the, once again, new and improved LiDAR scanned track here at Miami Gardens. And honestly, I don't really think Miami urgently needed the upgrade. I thought it was just fine with the F122 version. Did it need an update in the grand scheme of things? Yeah, maybe, but to set it as priority over tracks like China, for example, yeah, I don't think so. But, you know, I still appreciate it nonetheless, and it does look stunning. But Miami has always looked stunning, and it's always looked unique. So, you know, that's part of the reason why I don't really think it needed to be prioritized. But, yeah, here we are, setting our first lap of SQ1 on the medium tyres. I actually really do love having sprint qualifying on this game, this newer sprint format. Of course, I'm coming mostly from my F123 experience, since I only did one season of F124 before quitting that game. But yeah, I gotta say, really enjoying this game thus far. I have not had any single moment in this game that I haven't enjoyed. So honestly, they've done a really good job on this game, and let's hope that this game is the foundation from this point forward. You know, every single game after this needs to have the AI pretty much like this. Yes, you can tweak it in terms of, like, you know, handling and whatever, but, you know, I think in terms of the AI aggression and how they fight each other, it's perfect. I really wouldn't change it now. I mean, if you want to make it even more aggressive, sure, go ahead. But yeah, that is a 128.1 for us in SQ1, and our second lap is a slight improvement of just over a tenth. Got on the curb a little bit coming around the last corner, so a little bit slower, but it would have made no difference anyway. It still would have been a P3. Kimi Antonelli once again eliminated. Gasly is out as well after a really strong Jeddah, and like I've always said, if it's not one Williams, it's the other out in Q1. I cannot wait for the driver updates to come about. I really hope they're around before halfway through the season, to be honest, as we now set a 127.7 for our SQ2 lap, and that is the only lap we do, as George Russell is out in Q2, and Jack Doohan, we may as well call him Mr. Sprint at this point. We used to call George Russell Mr. Saturday. We may as well call Doohan Mr. Sprint Saturday. He does absolutely woeful on the soft tyres in the actual qualifying, but when we get onto the mediums, maybe that just shows how good the Alpine is. But then again, Gasly got knocked out in SQ1, so I don't know what it is with Jack Doohan and sprint qualifying, but he is really good at it. I don't know if he'll pick up any points this time round like he did in China, but we shall see as we now come round this beautiful stadium section. I really love this section. This little Mickey Mouse chicane as well. It's a lot wider with this LiDAR scan track. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be. It is certainly an improvement. I'm not saying that it didn't need an update. I'm just saying prioritizing this over, you know, certain other tracks on the calendar, you know, maybe it wasn't the greatest choice. You know, Brazil has needed an update for years. I mean, it feels great, but, you know, we got a P8 with that lap, which is pretty much what I expected. But Lance Stroll in P6. So that Aston Martin is looking quick with the new upgrades. Without further ado, let's get to the sprint.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Sitting at the southeastern coast of Florida, the Miami International Autodrome has 19 corners and 3.36 miles of racing. It's a circuit designed to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Either way, I'm sure it's one that will please the fans.
Well, here we are, ready for the sprint, waiting for the 5 red lights. And we are underway in Miami Gardens. It is a very slow start for Lewis Hamilton, an equally slow start for Lance Stroll. Leclerc is all over the place. We're looking to overtake him as well. It's a great start from us. I tell you what, the starts here are definitely very similar to F123, as opposed to what F122 and 24 were in terms of AI race starts. They are a little slower, but it's a lot more mixed this time, as you know, the race leader Lando Norris gets a really good start. Verstappen's not too far behind him as Oscar Piastri and Yuki Tsunoda are side by side. Yeah, soak it in, fellas. Yuki Tsunoda will not be this good for much longer, depending on when the driver ratings come around. But yeah, Piastri giving him a big squeeze, and they are swapping positions left, right, and center. We're going to make it 3 wide. Can we get the move here? We do a little bit of contact with Piastri, banging tires, and a little bit of debris going on behind us. Maybe that's coming off of our cars or Sonoda or Piastri's. Either way, we all come out unscathed, and it's a P3 for us in the sprint race, and there is only 10 laps. However, tyre wear is a thing. Not much happened though. We were able to keep out in P3 as Piastri and Sonoda kept fighting, and as usual, the Ferraris, despite qualifying pretty poorly, coming through the field in the race in a pretty strong fashion, as now Leclerc, skipping ahead obviously to lap 6, has caught up to us. Piastri's not far behind. Hamilton's not far behind him. So Hamilton needs to improve a little bit more for the Ferrari, but Leclerc is as good as ever. So it looks like it's just going to be like Jeddah. We're going to be defending against Leclerc. Now, this is not going to be like Jeddah, where, you know, we're going to defend as harsh as possible. But to be fair, there is only a few laps. There's only 4 laps to go, so we can just keep defending Leclerc and eventually Hamilton, who has overtaken Piastri. And it's not going to be as dangerous as Jeddah was, as Leclerc now, side by side going into turn 1. We're going to defend that pretty well, but yeah, we are a lot slower compared to the Ferraris. We are really annoying the Ferraris this season, that's for sure. They've been on a lot of the thumbnails, to be real. So yeah, definitely annoying them at this point, and they got to be really annoyed with us. They already tried to get a secret meeting with us this season, as once again we defend against Leclerc. Leclerc is just not overtaking early enough. If he can overtake early, then it's over, just like Jeddah. And just like right here, we have no ERS left as both Ferraris overtake us, but again it's too late, and they give us the room to dive on the inside and once again retake P3. So yeah, we're really battling for this P3, which is 6 points, worth 6 points. So in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's not really worth fighting these Ferraris, but you know, if you're not battling for every position, then you can't really call yourself a racing driver. Maybe in the grand scheme of things in the race, you know, it comes down to strategy, but yeah, this is only a sprint race with a few laps to go. It is certainly worth fighting this tooth and nail, as Jack Doohan is out of the session. He was definitely out of the top 10 beforehand, so he had problems this whole race. Very unlucky for the Alpine rookie, that is for sure, as once again we defend against Leclerc, keep him to the outside, and we're back on this big curved straight right here. Doohan parks to the left. We're going to defend this, moving to the inside, and Leclerc doesn't even overtake us this time. This is the section where it's going to be quite dangerous as well, as once again we defend to the inside. It's a lot better than Jeddah. We're not having to dive bomb after being overtaken. We're staying ahead just long enough to be able to contest for the position as fairly as possible. But yeah, I think it's going to only be a matter of time before, you know, we really regret that. Like a last episode, actually, where we got some karma in Jeddah compared to how we were defending against the Ferraris in Bahrain. But yeah, so far so good. These corners in particular in Sector 1 are taking a whole lot out of the tyres, 75%, and this is on the mediums in just 10 laps. So we're going to have to remember that for the race, that is for sure, especially since, well, we might not have to remember it. You know, it might be raining at the beginning, it might be raining at the end, we don't know, but we'll have to remember that the mediums aren't the greatest around here neither. There's a lot of tyre wear, as it's 3 wide with the Ferraris, and we're going to be the last to break, get into the apex first. And unlike Jeddah, there's a lot more space, a lot more of an apex for us to get to first. But the job is not done yet. We've got one final straight to go as we go down the back straight. I'm immediately moving out the way. I have very little ERS at this point. Hamilton has a lot. He's overtaken Leclerc in that 3 wide situation. He peels off to the right. He's just a little bit in front of us, so we're going to have to dive on the inside if we want any chance to take this position. It's really close. We bang tires. There's contact, but it's fair. And we once again retake P3. This time, for the final time, we cross the line. P3 in the sprint. So a pretty good start to the weekend, but long term, that is not going to be sustainable for the race. So we got bragging rights for the sprint against the Ferraris for now. But yeah, in the race, it's going to be very, very different. We're not going to be flying high as P3 unless, you know, there's some shenanigans or the wet weather that is certainly coming to the race changes everything in a chaotic way. But Lewis Hamilton is 1 point ahead of us in the standings as we now move into qualifying. And yeah, the thing about normal qualifying on a sprint weekend is that you only really get to set one lap. You get one set of soft tyres for each qualifying, as all the other ones you used, well, to be fair, you only use another one in sprint quali 3 and maybe the sprint race, but mostly just sprint quali 3, and then there's one reserved for the race. But we make it through to Q2. Once again, Gasly is out and Doohan's back to his normal form. Antonelli is out in Q1. Another person I can't wait for a driver rating update. I'm pretty much mentioning that every episode now, and that's kind of the caveat to doing these videos every day. You know, I'm doing them really short term, quick succession, and we've got, as of recording, no real like announcement whether or not we're getting the update soon as we do our one and only lap of Q2. I went out a little earlier as it's looking very doom and gloom out here. The lap was good enough for P6 as yeah, once again, both Aston Martins performing really well. Lance Stroll is up there in P9. So the Aston Martin, whatever upgrades they put on that car this weekend, very, very good. Sonoda's out in Q2, so not good for him. And Ollie Behrman, P11. So Q3, I opted to go out onto the softs because if you look out of the you know, the garage right now, it doesn't look like it's raining. Usually you would be able to see if it is raining. So I think that's a little bit of a problem with this game. This game's got very few problems, but now it is definitely raining. As soon as I come out the garage, it's even gone darker. Yeah, I wish I could have seen that from the garage. Maybe I could have checked the video feed for other cars peeling out, but yeah. The softs absolutely not viable, so I opted to just restart the session, not waste my time, you know, doing a lap on the softs just to come back into the garage. So yeah, quite curious to see how we do on the inters here. So far so good though. Like I did say, I think it was the China episode, the wet weather driving is actually pretty good. It's definitely a lot better than F124. F124's wet weather driving was actually the best part of that game. But mainly for fun. It just was not realistic at all, as we set a 141.3, which is not good enough to get anywhere off of P10. So our pace in the wet isn't very good, and that might come down to aerodynamic issues or most likely chassis issues. But yeah, we really got to think about that, as these are the this is the weather forecast going into the race. So it's actually going to start off in the dry before absolutely transitioning into rain. So I wonder how that's going to go. Let's find out.
Florida is no stranger to world-class sport, and as of 2022, the USA's Sunshine State is now on the F1 calendar. Welcome back to the Magic City for the Miami Grand Prix. Sitting at the southeastern coast of Florida, the Miami International Autodrome has 19 corners and 3.36 miles of racing. It's a circuit designed to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Either way, I'm sure it's one that will please the fans. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion too. See, told you I'd give you a big intro. Anthony Davidson, hello. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you know, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, you know, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, you know, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Right, let's see if we can push for another points finish in this race. Good luck.
All right, so strange thing about this, it looks like we've got a two-stop. I wasn't able to change the settings neither, so yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. We have to start on one of these compounds of tires. So I'm going to opt to start on the softs because I'm going to guess the AI is going to do the same thing. We'll go on the mediums and then most likely not go on the hards. In fact, there's a chance that I might not even go on the mediums. We could change midway. It really depends how the tire wear is. But if the sprint race was anything to go by, the mediums are not going to last that long at all. Maybe they'll last long enough. They are 10 laps on that strategy screen. So maybe they'll last long enough to take us to whenever the wet conditions start. So maybe we won't have to do 10 laps. We will really have to see. Again, this soft tyre stint is going to be the most important part of figuring that out. But even though it does look very sunny here in Miami Gardens, it is absolutely confirmed from that screen earlier that we are going to have wet weather later on in this race. So honestly, it's all to play for everyone. The wet could give anybody a chance for big points here. Aston Martin definitely need those points in particular. I'm curious to see how they do. Hopefully we can get off the line and get straight in front of them and shoot ourselves up the order just like we did in the sprint and like we've done in many races this season. Since we're on the softs as well, yeah, it definitely looks like it might be the case that we can do that as long as we can get off the line, get a good start for ourselves. We don't know about the other cars. We're not going to worry about them until we need to pass them. So, yeah, here we go, lining up at the grid just behind Lance Stroll. Carlos Sainz in P7, so Williams usually only have one car in that top 10. I'm quite curious to see if maybe they could get another upgrade in soon to push them a little bit further, which would push us out. As we now go to 5 red lights, Oscar Piastri kicks us off here, and it's a pretty good start from him. He's going to get swarmed by both Ferraris as we overtake both Stroll and Alonso. Albon overtakes Stroll as well. It's 4 wide behind us as we are side by side with Carlos Sainz. You might not have seen that. You might have been focusing on us, so I pointed it out, but it was 4 wide with the Williams and the Mercedes cars, as both Williams are now in P8 and P9, so that's come out really fine for them. Stroll has fallen as low as P12, although he has just retaken the position back from Ocon, but it is not a good start from the Aston Martin guys, that's for sure, as we are now looking to catch up to Russell, having got ahead of Carlos Sainz, being chased by both Williams cars. Those are the cars closest to us this season, as well as the Aston Martin now with that recent upgrade. So hopefully we could maybe get a pass on Russell. There's a bit of a DRS train at the start right here, but there's already gaps starting to form behind us. 5 tenths to Sainz, 6 tenths to Sainz, and 1 second to Albon. So there's a gap starting to form. If you look further down the order behind Stroll, there's a gap forming there. Or is it in front of Stroll? I can't really tell. I view it on a smaller screen when commentating over it. So, I can't really tell. But there is gaps starting to form. That is the important thing. One of the Mercedes is there as well. So I think Antonelli got a really... no, he didn't get a good start. Never mind. That's right at the back of the grid. But finishing up lap 1 in P7 here. That's really good. And look at the squeeze. Hamilton gives Verstappen there. No love lost between these two former title rivals. Verstappen, of course, still in the title race. Hamilton, I highly doubt he will be. But these two are doing battle side by side heading into the stadium section. Verstappen looks to have had this one, but Hamilton is still there. He will not give up at all. But I think he's going to lose a bit of time because of that, and he does, as Verstappen starts to peel out ahead, looking to chase after Leclerc. Lando Norris is now looking to overtake Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton went from hopefully taking P3 to now losing out on that and losing P4 at the same time. So the championship leader overtaking him. Lando will be hoping to overtake Verstappen and Leclerc and to catch up to Piastri, and things go from bad to worse for the 7-time champion as his former teammate George Russell gets an overtake on him. So Russell's pace is looking good in that Mercedes. Mercedes are doing pretty shocking this season as we go back to our POV right behind those two. I say right behind, just under 2 seconds behind them. So we're doing our own race at this point, 2 seconds behind the guys in front, 2 seconds in front. P7 looks to be our pace as the engineer now gets on at me for tyre wear. Definitely. I mean, if the mediums were really worn by lap 10, imagine what these softs are going to be like, you know. It doesn't feel too bad, but, you know, we are the quickest on the softs right now. Everybody in front of us, I think, is on the mediums. And it's these corners, the late sector 1, that really tears these tyres apart. So, honestly, we're not only going to pit earlier, but we'll probably definitely go to the hards as Hamilton retakes the position on Russell. Maybe he had a car issue earlier. Either way, it doesn't matter now. He has retaken P5 and he'll be hoping to catch up to that top 4 as just behind us, Fernando Alonso is making the move on Carlos Sainz, the 2-time champion, having a nice little battle with Carlos Sainz right there, and it's a good pass for Fernando Alonso. Yuki Tsunoda is in front of Stroll now in P11. Let's see what he can do as we are now looking to box on lap 5. I'm going to switch to the hards absolutely because these softs are absolutely cooked, and it is only lap 5. I really don't think that the mediums will take us anywhere near those wet conditions. So we're going to be going on to the hards. The hards are always the old reliable. You know, they're never bad. So yeah, that's the race tyre we're going to go on. I'm curious to see what the guys around us, namely, you know, Albon, Sainz, Alonso, Hamilton, Russell. I wonder what tyres those guys are going to go on when they pit, but we're having an early pit here to get off these softs. Anybody who's on the softs later than us, like Sainz, for example, they're going to have a tough time of it, especially if they go any further than this lap, which works to our benefit, of course, as we come out into nearly 7 seconds of clean air. Our teammate, again, another driver that needs a driver update. Really not doing well. Honestly, I kind of wish I'd have chosen Lawson just to have a competitive teammate. You know, he's a much higher overall than Hadjar because, you know, Lawson had a pretty good 23 and 24 seasons, obviously. But, yeah, Hadjar being a 68 overall, no competition at all for any drivers on this grid. Even Antonelli, who's not much better than Hadjar, in a much better Mercedes, has only scored 7 points this season. So, yeah, driver updates sorely needed for the rookies. That is for sure. As Hadjar peels into the pits, we did get DRS off of him, so he did help us a little bit there. As we now catch up to the 2 Alpines here, pretty much doing their own race. They might be on the same strategy. They are both on worn hards. They started on the hards as we move on towards the end of that lap, overtaking the Alpine Pierre Gasly. So Doohan managed to overtake Gasly at one point. Doohan's having a quietly good season, I won't lie, for us in our alternate universe. I just wish Hadjar was doing the same. We know he's capable. I don't get it. Hadjar finished second in F2, and yet he's a worse overall than the likes of Antonelli and Doohan. It doesn't make any sense to me why Hadjar's the worst, even coming off of the first Grand Prix, you know. But we make the overtake on Doohan later on in lap 9. Easy as you like. There is no trouble right there. Alonso and Stroll are still out on those old mediums, so we have made up a lot of time. The Aston Martin strategy there is absolutely not good. They should have pitted for hards a long time ago. As we now move on to lap 11, and Oscar Piastri with a lockup. Oh no! Oh no, he's already had such an unlucky season with 2 DNFs, and now he is locked up from the lead with Lando Norris, the championship leader, his teammate not too far behind, and Leclerc and Verstappen have gone right past him. That is horrible for Piastri. You've got to feel bad for him. His driver rating is not good enough already. He's had 2 DNFs this season, and now he's locked up from the lead. It's not good. And going back to our POV, there's a massive plume of smoke as George Russell is out of the race, which is good for us because we gain a position from that. But that's another driver who's been pretty unlucky this season. No driver rating, shenanigans for him. But, he's kind of like Leclerc in qualifying. But unlike Leclerc in the races, Russell just has not had the pace. And even though he was having a pretty good race so far, he wasn't able to capitalize on it because his engine failed on him. As we now go back to the lead, Leclerc and Verstappen doing battle. They really need to stop this. Side by side going into the Mickey Mouse chicane. And Oscar Piastri has now caught up to them. So we're going to join the onboard of Piastri right here, looking to maybe overtake Verstappen right here. Hamilton has ended up behind us. He's pitted at some point. So we'll be wanting to keep him behind. As Oscar Piastri, if that straight was a little bit longer, we might see him overtake Leclerc. But Leclerc goes defensive. Verstappen side by side with Piastri. But it is the Aussie that comes out on top right there. He'll be gunning back for P1. And with that rocket ship of a McLaren, he should be able to do it. As we now fast forward to lap 17, the engineer, I've been talking to my engineer this whole race about the tyre situation, and look at it now. It is completely doom and gloom. The rain is imminent. We've had a really good stint on these hard tyres, that's for sure, as Hamilton is just over 1 second behind us. And look at that slow turning. Another issue that I found in this game is once the weather turns, the track already feels like it's raining, even before you see any raindrops. So I don't know if there's any visibility issues, like maybe, it just starts spitting. Maybe that's a thing, and we don't see it while driving in the car until the raindrops get heavier. I don't know. But we're going to save ERS now coming into the pits. Maybe I should have defended that in hindsight, because we know Hamilton will be pitting as well. I mean, look at the slow turning. Everybody is going to be pitting. That's right, everybody. A new thing in this game that I've noticed is that the teams have no fear of double stacking now. Before, in F1 23, when there was transitional conditions, they would prioritize one driver and leave a bunch out in the wet conditions on slicks, meaning they would lose a lot of time and it would allow us to gain a lot. But this time, that's not the case in this game. Everybody is double stacking, so there's not much for us to gain, at least not much compared to F1 23. But I definitely am regretting letting Hamilton go. Maybe. I don't know how the pace will be in the wet, but yeah. Maybe we should have fought Hamilton a little bit more. I don't know. We're not on the Ferrari pace. I don't want to make the same mistake as I did in Jeddah, because fighting Hamilton will allow people to catch up from behind. The guys were fighting Albon and Stroll just over 4 seconds behind. Stroll pitted onto the softs, so he's out of the race at this point. Absolutely. Alonso is probably pitted for Inter. So some teams have still prioritized drivers, but yeah. Definitely the wrong strategy for the Aston Martins today. I wish I was able to start on the mediums like they were. But in hindsight, maybe I'm glad I didn't, because we would have had to do like 16 laps on the mediums. And as you could tell from the sprint, they were absolutely cut. So we would be in the Aston Martins position had I gone for my the ideal strategy that I wanted. So I'm glad that didn't happen. So yeah, that's really good. We had a really good hard tyre stint. But now showing you highlights of Piastri overtaking for the lead. He did it in the pits. Now, I don't know what went on with Leclerc. From what it looks like is that the pit crew did everything right, but Leclerc maybe caught napping a little bit there. Maybe he took off guard by how quick Ferrari were able to do the pit stop. I don't know. But all I know is he was slow to come out of his pit box, and Piastri has made the overtake for first in the pits. Norris hasn't pitted yet. I don't know if he was still on slicks, but they definitely prioritized Piastri. As we go on to lap 24, we did a little drift, as you saw. Albon is getting closer and closer each lap. So I think the AI might be a little bit better than me in the wet on 102 difficulty. Either that or the Williams is just a lot better than the Racing Bulls. Than the V-Carb in the wet. Either way, I am pushing as hard as I can to stay ahead of Albon. that's for sure. He's gained 2 seconds on us in about 7 laps. And I'm just trying to save ERS where I can, spend it in the best positions possible, and my objective is just to stay in front of him until lap 29, as a safety car has been deployed with just 3 laps to go when we go on to lap 27. So this is going to make things really interesting. Nobody's going to pit, but this is going to give people a much better opportunity to overtake, especially those on newer tyres, i.e. Lando Norris, who pitted a lap after Piastri. So he'll be on, fresher, well, not just after Piastri, but most of the drivers. So whoever's in front of Norris is going to be in big trouble, and this is why the safety car was called. Carlos Sainz in the Williams, he was having a good race, looking to finish in the points, and yeah. For some reason, though, he doesn't try and drive back onto the track. Here he could drive back onto the track. He would have no issue going in front of Hajar, but for some reason he just stops. And he ghosts, and yeah, it's just a proper strange one, that. I feel like the AI is very timid and passive on getting back onto the track after, a spin, which is a shame, but the safety car is in, barely even a lap late. I don't even think it was out for a lap, because it needs to get put away for the end of the race, as we are now wanting to go after Hamilton. I'm having a bit of a desperate lunge there. There's a bit of contact. I'm not proud of it. But I really want that spot. I can see it within my grasp. We can get a P5. It is absolutely possible, but we need to do it in the corners. I seem to be quicker than the AI in the corners, but I think the AI have a bit of an acceleration issue in the wet, specifically, perhaps. So I need to make sure I do this in the corners. Either that or the Ferrari is just a lot quicker than the V-Carb. That makes a lot more sense. We'll go with that, as we are now side by side with the 7-time champion. We have to get this move done here, and then we can keep him behind, because if we don't get it done here, Hamilton will absolutely stay out in front. Albon is looking to make it 3 wide. He decides against it and stays behind, which is quite strange. I think he would have gotten that move if he made it 3 wide, but we have committed and kept our foot in to keep to get the move done on Hamilton. So it's P5 for us, another really strong position. I mean, it would have been strong anyway. A P6 from P10 would have been nice, but with this safety car, we can now say that we can get P5, as Lando Norris, like I said, on those fresher inters, has absolutely overtaken Verstappen very easily and has already gapped him. Will he have the chance to catch up to Leclerc and Piastri within a lap, though? I'm not too sure about that. But we're on the last lap now. We're going to have to defend really hard against Hamilton here. We've only got a certain amount of VRS to work with. The Ferrari absolutely is going to have more. Albon, 3 wide, nearly 3 wide. We're just about in front and get to the apex first. Hamilton is still there, but we are still in front for now. Just casually, just dragging this vehicle through the corners as we now go on to the critical point of the race. It is the final back straight. I'm trying my hardest to get away from Hamilton here. This is very, very similar to the sprint race, but I feel like we've got enough of a gap here this time to stay in front. A lot less of a chance for Hamilton since there's no DRS in the rain. So a very, very strong race for us as Oscar Piastri comes across the line, breaks his duck finally to get his first win of the season. Leclerc comes home in second, Norris in third, Verstappen fourth, and your boy in P5. What a race, what a Grand Prix. Let's go.
And it's the checkered flag for your Grand Prix race winner, Oscar Piastri.
A great display of dominance today, Crofty, by this driver. They led from lights out to the flag at the end, led every lap of the race. Brilliant stuff by them, and excited to see what more they can do in future races.
It's time for our podium celebrations. And as ever in Formula One, 3 is the magic number. And your winner today, the man from down under, congratulations, Oscar Piastri.
I, for one, cannot wait for the driver ratings to come in. Piastri is not good enough. Lando Norris is going to be overpowered with his current overall and how good the McLaren is compared to the Ferrari and Red Bull. But it's nice to see Oscar Piastri get off the mark with a win finally here, matching his performance in real life. Well, other than the lockup he had, he was a bit lucky that Leclerc bottled it in the pits, to be honest. Leclerc is not going to be happy with Ferrari for that one, but we get a P5 here, and we overtake Lewis Hamilton by 1 point in the standings once more. Again, like I said, it's only going to be a matter of time till everybody catches up. As you can see, Hamilton, Piastri, Leclerc, all pretty close to us, and it's only a matter of time before George Russell is able to get a grip of that Mercedes and catch up to us as well. And who knows about Yuki Tsunoda? Yuki's been a bit inconsistent, but to be honest, he'll get a driver rating downgrade soon enough, so I don't think we'll have to worry too much about Tsunoda, but Red Bull will have to worry about whether or not they have their ideal second driver. You know, we're really making a case for that seat. But guys, cheers for watching this episode of F1 25 Career Mode. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time for some more F1 25. Peace.